Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through 2026 Coleman 17B. We are just going to start off the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you're pre-mounted for an observation camera as well as a Lippert collapsible surge system. If you'd like to get set up with either of those, it is as simple as contact your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out. We are just going to start off on the driver's side of the unit. In this corner, as well as the corner on the other back side, you got these two stabilizer jacks, and the way they work is you just hook the 3/4 inch drive tool to the 3/4 inch drive nut, run this foot down to the ground. Of course, it's very important that you already have leveled the unit, just so that you're not trying to level it using the stabilizer jacks, otherwise you do run the risk of bending them, as that's not their design. But once that foot does hit the ground again, just give it the 8/4 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have the unit right now away. In addition to that, you can run her up and down with a cordless impact, of course, just being mindful of how much torque you do put on it. In this corner here, you get your hot water service port. This is a tankless system, so if you had a camper before and you did the winterization yourself, you probably had a different winterization method, in which case you had bypass valves behind there to worry about. In this situation, it is the complete opposite. There's no bypass valves behind there to turn. And if there is, you don't touch them. You do just want to run antifreeze through the system. And once you're done your winterization process completely, just crack this pressure relief valve and leave it cracked open for the duration of winter. Right beside it, get your fresh water connection. So if you're out at a site with service, if you're not at a site with service or you're out boondocking, this is how you fill up your fresh tank. That's what your water pump draws off of. But if you're at a site with service or you're just at home and you want to use the camper for the kids, you just thread a guard nose in there, turn it on, pressurizes all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Right down below, you get to the drain cap. Take that and twist it off. Your sewer hose will have the same ears and twist and lock right into place like so. Then you got your gray valve and your black valve. You always want to empty your black valve first, as it can be your dirtiest water filled from your toilet. And then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. This little valve here, this is the fresh tank drain. So once you fill up your fresh tank, you didn't use it all, and you want to drain it, because of course you don't want to be traveling out around with any extra weight than you have to. Crack that guy open, and that is how all the fresh water drains out. 30 amp connection. It is just your standard 30 amp cord. This cord's about 15 feet long once fully extended. Might be a good idea to make sure you get a 30 amp extension cord, just in case. Some campsites are a little bit differently. They have the plugins a little further away. Again, that's going to be something you can figure out on your own after your first couple trips. But if you are at your regular campsite, most of the time you can plug right on in using this end. But we do include a 15 amp park adapter in case you want to run your unit at home, or your campsite only has a 15 amp service, which is your standard household outlet. Just keep it in mind, whenever you are using that adapter, you can't run your air conditioner. You can run everything else just fine, just not the air conditioner, as it's a lot of extra power draw. Once you're plugged in like that, you'll hear some beeping inside, and that's when you know you're good to go. AC output right there. This right here does give you access to the first side of your storage compartment. Goes right through to the other side. Around the front of the unit, inside that box there is going to be your battery, and then right here you get your propane tank. Like any standard barbecue, counterclockwise, nice and slowly, open up the flow of propane to the unit. Now coming around to the passenger side, opening up this box here. This is where you're going to find your standard starter kit. Again, it's going to come with a bunch of accessories: 15-foot water hose, 10-foot sewer hose, and then of course that 15 amp park adapter, which I've already told you about. And then also located inside this compartment is that manual tool for your stabilizer jacks. Now the rest of the unit pretty much is just unit, other than the fact that you got your furnace exhaust right here, so whenever your furnace is on, this will be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. And now for the best part, to take a step on inside, you can open up that door, pull out the stairs from down below, get a nice set of stairs. Now one thing to keep in mind, if you have your door open right away, it does run into contact with that awning arm, so before you ever do run your awning, always try and remember to close this door to 90 degrees. That way that awning can travel in and out freely without running it into anything and damaging it. Once you take a step on inside, first thing you notice off on the left is that fire extinguisher, which is just like home, pull the pin and shoot. And now once we're inside, all the lights in here are on their own center push buttons. Just push them, they turn themselves on, as long as of course you have battery power or you're plugged in. Now on the wall here is your main monitor panel for the system, for the unit. Push the button, it tells you the corresponding level for all the tanks in the battery. Then you get your awning switch, so of course making sure that door is closed 90 degrees, and then you can hit that extend button. The awning's going to start making its way out. Now you know that awning is fully extended when you see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. Hopefully we can get to that point today. One thing to keep in mind is I know it looks like a wind sail, and if you could believe it, it actually does act exactly like a wind sail. So once you have it out just like so, and you notice the winds start picking up, it's going to be pretty crucial that you do bring it in, otherwise you do run the risk of bending or ripping things. Now on the outside, if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, release this clasp here, push the arm in, wherever you like it, that's where you clamp it down. Now, as you can see, that does change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off if it were raining. But of course, if you like that angle better because it does allow for more shade underneath, you can do the same thing with the front arm. Just make sure that before you go to bring those arms back in, that you do allow those arms back out to their natural resting position, so that way you can come in and out freely without binding or anything like that. It's always good to be visual whenever you're running it in or out too, just watching it, making sure it's not doing anything weird or making any weird noises. Retracting it, I'm not going to sit and hold you through that. It's just as simple as holding the retract button once the arms contact the side of the trailer. Motors automatically cut out. Exterior light turns on that little LED light underneath the awning, and then of course you get your water pump switch, which does draw out of your fresh tank. Now at the front of the trailer, it's your standard bed space. You do have a mount here for a TV. Just keeping in mind the sizing, it's going to be pretty crucial, just especially fit with the cabinet right here and the door right here. You want something that's going to fit pretty nicely. Keep it in mind for that. Up top, you got plug-ins for that, as well as a coax outlet. This little black button here, turning that on turns the green light on. Now that does also, that's just turning the antenna on the roof. Now that also improves radio frequency and cell phone frequency, so we do recommend leaving it on whenever you're camping. Whenever you're not using the unit, trying to remember to turn it off. That way you're not drawing excess battery power. If you pick up the foot of the bed and lift up, you're gonna notice you get a little extra storage spot. Over here, you get your seating area. Now it's currently set up as a dinette, so if you pull the cushions from your backers, set your back cushions, fill in the center. You have another bed space in case you had some extra people that didn't fit in your bunks. But if you want to go back into a regular table space, you would just have to take the tabletop, lift it up, unfold the table legs, and you'd be good to go. Now I do recommend just leaving this one like this for whenever you're traveling, as these table legs aren't secured, they just fold down, so this would be able to fly around freely. So again, leaving it like this for travel is the best option. All the blinds in the unit work the same way, they just kind of sit where you leave them. This is going to be the emergency exit for the unit. Take this red tab, pull on it, screen's going to pop right out of place. At that point, take this red handle, pull up, push out. At that point, you can hop on out of the unit. Now, of course, trying to go feet first, but if there is a fire, just try to get out of the unit as quickly as possible is important. In our kitchen space, I'm going to go over everything. It's pretty much your standard, just like home kitchen, but we do have our stove. Now, this stove runs off gas, so you're always going to be wanting to be safe whenever doing so. Now, with that being said, I do have a few propane notes to go over quickly just to help make your camping experience that much easier. Whenever you turn the system off at the front or remove that bottle to go get it filled up, it does allow air into the system. Once air makes its way in, it does have to be purged out. I tell every customer I talk to do this. Whenever you first get to your campsite, turn that propane on and just come fire up your stove first thing. It's just help purge that system. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because if you went to go to try to fire up your furnace, your water heater, before you purge the system, it could not light right away, and it could throw you a failed to light code. If you don't know what the code means, or if it's just not lighting like your furnace would, just not light, it can be a little frustrating, especially if you need it. So that's why, again, just a sure shot way, just make sure you fire up your stove first thing. It helps evacuate all those all the air inside the line, so that way when you do try to fire up your furnace, your water heater, they should light up pretty problem free. Now, with all that being said, because we're equipped with propane, you got your LP detector over here near the bunk. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit. Open up some windows and vents and get some fresh oxygen inside of here. And now when it comes time to purging your stove, it works pretty simply. Just come fire up your stove. Now, as soon as you turn this gas valve on, unfortunately I don't have one with me right now, but you have to you would have to have a lighter close by. Take your lighter. As soon as you turn this gas valve on, make sure the lighter's already lit, because the way it works is it's going to be pushing air out. But as soon as it starts pushing gas out, if you don't have the lighter lit right away, gas does have the ability to build up. And if it built up enough, you could get a minor combustion, in which case when you hit the lighter, it could go poof. And if your face was nearby, of course, you're gonna lose some eyebrows and eyelashes, and nobody enjoys that. So again, just be safe whenever you're doing so. Kind of hold your face back, and as soon as you turn the gas valve on, always have a lighter lit the whole time that you do have that gas valve on. So that way, once the gas starts flowing out, it lights right away instead of blowing up in your face. No worries though, it should be totally fine. Other than that, it's pretty standard kitchen space. Your furnace for the unit, its output is right here. It blows all its air out of this. It works off propane, and the controls for it are just right here. Pretty simple. Clicking it to the left is turning it off. Clicking over to the right is turning it on. The further you slide it over to the right, the hotter it's going to get inside of here. As soon as you turn that furnace off and then go to turn it off, even if it hasn't lit already, as soon as you go to turn it off, it does run for an additional 3 minutes to allow itself time to cool down, just as an added safety feature. Your air conditioner pushes all its air out right through here. It's your standard in-window air conditioner. Turn the power on. You get your different modes. I always recommend using auto, but again, use whatever temperature suits you best. And there's going to be a bunch of different settings that you go around and play with. Power button to turn that off again. You get your bunk area, which is pretty standard. You get your fridge area, 3, from 0 all the way to 7. 7's going to be the coldest option. 1's going to be the warmest option. Wherever you set it, that's where you leave it. If you've ever had a camper before, let's say you took this unit out for the weekend, ran it all up, the fridge has been cold since you left. When you do go to park the camper, especially if it's for a longer period of time, always make sure to ram some towels in here and try and find a way just to leave this jarred open a little bit. So that way, once the fridge does start thawing, obviously there's moisture that's involved with that. If you have towels already stuck in there and this cracked open, that does allow for the drying process to happen that much better, and it's not closed off, allowing the growth of mold or mildew. And last but not least, taking a step into the bathroom. Pretty standard bathroom space. Light switch, again, above my head. Bathroom, sink, all that good. Shower, toilet, all that good stuff. And then up on the wall over here, you got your main GFI plug for the unit. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, always double check this. 90% of them are going to be ran through GFI, and sometimes it can trip for the oddest reasons. So just double check if you ever plug something in and it doesn't work, that this isn't tripped. And then you get your thermostat for your hot water heater. So I did go over earlier how it's an on-demand system. So again, that means it does operate a little bit differently. You got your temperature up and down button. So basically how you want to set your temperature is where you find the water the most comfortable. At 51 degrees Celsius, it's pretty hot water. Most people aren't going to leave it there. If that's where you find it comfortable, great. But the purpose of it is so that you just want to have your hot on whenever you're using the hot water and find it comfortable. As soon as you go to turn on the cold, that's when it affects the flow, because you're now turning on the cold line, which affects the flow. It'll allow for cold spots and just not consistent water temperatures. So just set this temperature where you find the water the most comfortable with just the hot on. Now that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.